The glass and steel monolith of Horizon Dynamics scraped the San Francisco sky. I glanced at my phone. The BART was late, as usual, but I still had a few minutes to spare. Thank God. My name is Leo Hayes, and this is where I work. I'm a coder. The six-figure salary at Horizon is nothing to sneeze at, but in a city where a burrito costs $15, I was basically living paycheck to paycheck. A nobody with a decent job. Well, I'll be damned. Is that Leo Hayes? A smug, familiar voice cut through the morning bustle. I looked up. Kyle Bradford. My personal nemesis from college. He was leaning casually against a brand new Audi A6, looking like he just stepped out of a GQ photoshoot in his tailored suit and polished leather shoes. A trust fund baby, born with a silver spoon so far down his throat he probably choked on it daily. Fancy seeing you here, he said, his lips curling into a smirk. Check out the new ride. Sweet, huh? He gestured vaguely toward the car. Picking up my girlfriend. You still flying solo? A broke-ass programmer like you is probably single for life, right? He didn't wait for an answer. Oh, and did you buy a place yet? Or are you still throwing away money on rent in some shoebox apartment? He chirped on, a relentless stream of condescending questions. I tightened my grip on my laptop bag. So much for catching up with old friends. It was always a competition. I'm late for work, Kyle. See you around. I said, my voice flat. Hey, don't rush off, buddy, he said, stepping in front of me. You'll never afford a mortgage working for this dump. Tell you what, my dad's company is looking for a new coffee boy. The job's yours if you want it. I ignored him and was about to turn away when a stunning woman walked towards us. Tall, with curves in all the right places and a face that could launch 1,000 startups. A true knockout. Honey, have you been waiting long? She cooed, wrapping her arms around Kyle's neck. He pulled her into a one-armed hug. Just got here, babe. Who's this? She asked, her eyes raking over my worn jeans and company hoodie with blatant disapproval. Oh, him? Kyle scoffed. Just some broke guy from college. The word broke hit me like a punch to the gut. His girlfriend's expression immediately soured into one of pure disdain. I turned to leave, the humiliation burning in my cheeks. Hey, think about my offer, old friend. Kyle's triumphant voice called after me. I'm serious, I'm trying to help you out. My face was a mask of thunder as I stormed into the lobby and jabbed the elevator button. What an asshole. Sooner or later, I'm gonna cuck you. I seethed internally, the rage boiling in my blood. Ding. Congratulations. A sultry, mature female voice echoed in my mind. What the? Who was that? Congratulating me for what? Sooner or later, I'm gonna cuck you, password confirmed. You have successfully unlocked the Super Evolution system. By now, this time, the voice was that of a little girl. I froze. Super Evolution system? What the hell was that? I just cursed a guy in my head, and it unlocked a system? And that password. Sooner or later, I'm gonna cuck you? That's not just weird, it's seriously messed up. Host, would you like to bind with the system immediately? The voice changed again, this time to that of a shy, soft-spoken girl. I was still trying to process what was happening. Was this real? What were the benefits? Host, I will ask one last time. Do you wish to bind with the system? Just give me 2 minutes to think. I snapped back mentally. Bind or don't, maggot. Make a choice, the voice morphed into a gruff, no-nonsense drill sergeant. Holy crap, the system was getting impatient. Okay. Bind. I said in a hurry. Congratulations, host. You have successfully bound the Super Evolution system. Analyzing host's physical parameters. Complete, initiating Super Evolution. My mind immediately jumped to scenes from sci-fi movies, like something out of Cyberpunk or Deus Ex. I glanced down at my arms, half expecting to see metallic wires sprouting from my skin. Nope. Nothing. Still the same pale, slightly hairy arms I'd had my whole life. Ding. Congratulations, host. Your brain has successfully evolved to LV1 along with the sound. A translucent blue screen materialized in my vision, a heads-up display only I could see. Host, Leo Hayes. Brain LV1, basic intellect next evolution target, my eyes widened. Okay, so this thing was legit. System, my brain evolved? Does that mean my intellect is higher? Correct, host. Your capacity for learning, memory, logical reasoning, and analysis has been significantly enhanced, a thrill shot through me. I'd always read about protagonists getting systems after a tragic breakup or a near-death experience. Me? I got one out of pure, unadulterated spite. Ding! The elevator doors opened. I stepped inside, my mind still racing as I communicated with the system. Being a longtime nerd, I knew there were other possibilities. System, can I trade you in for a money-making system? Or maybe one of those daily check-in reward systems? Negative, are you sure? Affirmative. I am sure, it was the drill sergeant voice again. I immediately thought, system, I really don't like the drill sergeant voice. Of course, host. You may select from a variety of other female voice archetypes. Okay, I'll take the sultry one. The system immediately switched back to the mature, alluring voice from the beginning. System, why was the unlock password sooner or later? I'm gonna cuck you. I was still hung up on that bizarre detail. Because this system is the Get Even edition. For some reason, that made me feel a little uneasy. If there are any bugs, can I uninstall it? Rest assured, host. This system is designed for corporeal superevolution. It offers only benefits, with no negative side effects. I nodded to myself, finally feeling a bit more at ease. I swiped my keycard at the office gate, sat down at my desk, and continued my mental chat with the system, quickly getting the hang of it. The super evolution system worked by spending evolution points to upgrade parts of my body, with each evolution granting new abilities. I could earn these points by completing system-generated missions and unlocking life achievements. Ding! New mission issued, successfully complete your first ever love confession. Reward, 200 evolution points. I froze. My first confession? I did that years ago. Host, confessions made while you were still in diapers do not count. My face fell. How the hell did this thing know everything? To confess, I needed a target. I mentally scrolled through every single woman I knew. It was a short, depressing list. Leo, my man. Stop spacing out. Guess who I just shared an elevator with? My portly colleague, Mike, waddled over, slapping me on the shoulder with a goofy grin on his face. Who? I grunted. The Ice Queen herself. Serafina Vance, Mike whispered, wiggling his eyebrows. The Empress? What's so great about sharing an elevator with her? I shook my head, unimpressed. Dude, she was wearing this killer pencil skirt and silver heels today. You have no idea. A total goddess, Mike said, a dreamy look on his face. An image of Serafina Vance in a power suit flashed in my mind. He wasn't wrong. She was intimidatingly beautiful. Serafina Vance, CEO of Horizon Dynamics. A woman whose looks could outshine any Hollywood starlet, hailed as the top beauty in the business world. Her cold, aloof demeanor earned her the nickname the Ice Queen among the staff. But she had another, more fearsome moniker, the Empress. Her work style was like a force of nature, decisive, ruthless, and swift. Every employee, from the top executives down to the interns, lived in a healthy state of fear of her. She was a real-life queen. Her talent was undeniable. When the company was facing hundreds of millions in debt, she single-handedly steered the ship, not only resolving the crisis but leading Horizon to unprecedented growth. In just 2 years, she took the company public, and its market value soared into the billions. A woman with that combination of beauty and brains was, naturally, the object of desire for countless men, but she remained completely unmoved. Rumors even circulated that she might be a lesbian, a topic that once set the gossip blogs on fire. She, of course, never bothered to address them. Her pride wouldn't allow it. I sighed. I couldn't even imagine the kind of man who could ever capture the heart of a woman like that. Mike was still lost in his reverie. Mike, I said, tapping my phone screen. It's 8:40. Which means when you were in that elevator with the Ice Queen, you were officially late. Ha! The color drained from Mike's face. You're screwed, I said with a sympathetic grimace. Getting caught being late by the notoriously strict CEO meant his monthly bonus was already growing wings and flying away. No. Mike whimpered, slumping into his chair. I smirked, then remembered my own mission. A confession. I didn't have a target, but I could at least prepare some lines. I immediately thought of my old college buddy, Nate. After graduation, Nate had dedicated himself to writing trashy fantasy novels online. He claimed his readers were all gorgeous, which was all the motivation he needed. The guy had a way with words and had somehow managed to have 2 girlfriends, so he had to have some experience. I pulled up my messenger app. Leo, Nate, I need some confession lines. ASAP. Buzz. My phone vibrated almost instantly. Nate was clearly slacking off at his own job. Nate, holy shit, Leo. You finally trying to get laid? Attaboy. Doj_meme, Leo, I'm serious. I'm planning a confession, and I have no idea what to say. Nate, a confession? Dude, you're a total rookie. Confessing is a death sentence. You gotta sleep with her first, then talk. Leo, screw you. Just help me out. Online, now. Nate, fine. Don't say I didn't warn you. I'll whip up some foolproof lines for you. Guaranteed to make any girl's heart flutter. True to his word, Nate was fast. A moment later, a list of lines appeared. I opened it. I want to set your heart on fire and burn for a lifetime. Are you a 404 error? Because I can't find you in my life and it's breaking me. I don't just want to climb the leaderboards to challenger rank. I want to climb you. What the hell? These weren't foolproof, they were cringeworthy. Nate was full of it. His brain was clearly rotted by writing bad romance. But, just in case, I saved them. You never know. I long pressed, copied the text, and pasted it into my phone's notes app. Just then, a portly, middle-aged man in a white button-down and silver-rimmed glasses strode over, his face slick with oil. It was Mr. Peterson, our software development manager. All right, everyone, phones down. He barked. Marketing wants a new interactive event portal added to the app's social interface. It needs to be done by the end of the day. If it's not, we're all staying late. A collective groan went through the department. There were 8 of us coders, and building a new portal in a single day was insane. I sighed. Peterson was a classic case of a manager chasing his own performance bonuses by running his team into the ground. He'd gotten the job through connections to a board member and knew next to nothing about programming. His daily routine consisted of drinking tea, browsing the web, and hitting on the receptionists. Peterson then divided the project into 8 tasks, 1 for each of us. When I saw my assignment, my heart sank. This wasn't just an all-nighter, this was a sleep at your desk kind of project. Oh, by the way, Peterson said, strolling over to my desk with his teacup. Is the Q3 promotional analytics report done yet? It is, sir, I nodded. Good. Send a copy directly to Ms. Vance. She asked for it yesterday. As he spoke, he casually pocketed a packet of premium coffee from the box on my desk. This guy. Making a hefty salary and still nickel-and-diming his own employees. Unbelievable. After he left, I immediately stashed my coffee box in my desk drawer. I found the report link in the file, then pulled up my chat with the Ice Queen, Serafina Vance. Out of habit, I clicked on her profile, only to see I was blocked from viewing her feed. A wall as icy as her reputation. I went back to the chat, copied the report materials, and hit send. Then, I leaned back. Screw work. I needed to figure out this super evolution system first. Ding. System notification, confession mission complete. Reward, 100 evolution points. What? The confession mission was done? What was going on? I hadn't even found a target, let alone confessed. And those cheesy lines from Nate? I would never use them. Was the system bugged? What kind of messed up, get even system had I bound myself to? This thing was a lemon. Buzz. My phone vibrated. I picked it up and saw a new message. It was from the Ice Queen herself. Serafina Vance, come to my office. Huh? I was confused. Why would the Empress summon me? Was there a problem with the report I sent? I scrolled up in our chat history and my blood ran cold. I hadn't sent the report. Somehow, I had accidentally pasted and sent Nate's entire list of godawful, cheesy confession lines directly to Serafina Vance. Oh, shit. I frantically tried to recall the message, but it was too late. The unsend window had passed. I was dead. This was Serafina Vance, the decisive, ruthless, corporate executioner. When she saw that message, she would erupt. Based on her track record, getting fired would be the best-case scenario. More likely, I'd be facing a sexual harassment lawsuit that would blacklist me from the entire tech industry. My career would be over. I remembered the story about the senior manager she'd sent to jail and had blacklisted for embezzling a relatively small sum. What I'd done felt infinitely worse. There was no escaping this. I could only face the music. Taking a deep breath and a swig of water to calm my hammering heart, I walked out of the development office. The CEO's suite was on the 5th floor, a self-contained world with its own library, lounge, and reception area. I felt like I was walking the Green Mile. When I arrived at the door, her assistant, a young woman named Mandy, looked at me in surprise. Leo? What are you doing here? She asked. Ms. Vance sent for me, I explained. She sent for you? Mandy repeated, her skepticism obvious. An entry-level coder like me had no business meeting the CEO directly. But seeing my serious expression, she picked up her phone to confirm. Ms. Vance, Leo from the development team is here. He says you sent for him. Yes, send him in, Serafina's voice came through the phone, crisp and clear. Mandy hung up, her gaze on me now a complex mix of curiosity and respect. The CEO calling someone directly on their personal line, bypassing her, meant only one thing: this guy had a connection. She respectfully opened the office door for me. Leo, Ms. Vance will see you now. I nodded and stepped inside. The first word that came to mind was vast. The office was over 200 square feet, decorated in a lavish, modern style. A massive abstract painting dominated one wall, facing a set of plush leather sofas. Bookshelves lined another wall, filled with awards, trophies, and art pieces. Deeper inside was a long, sleek desk with 2 large monitors and neat stacks of documents. And there she was. Serafina Vance, sitting at her desk, pen in hand, signing a document. I walked up to the desk and stood there, unsure of how to begin. Time seemed to slow to a crawl. She didn't look up, didn't say a word. She was definitely trying to break me down psychologically first, or maybe just deciding on the most painful way to fire me. Ms. Vance, I finally said, breaking the silence. Ah, you're here, she said, looking up and setting down her pen. Her beautiful eyes met mine, her expression unnervingly calm. I saw your message. Ms. Vance, if you'll just let me explain, she held up a hand, cutting me off. No need to explain. We're both adults. I understand. Are you really interested in me? Ahem, no, I coughed, completely flustered. Her face instantly turned to ice. No? So you confessed your love to me as a joke? You were just messing with me? Ms. Vance, if I said I sent it by mistake, would you believe me? I asked, trying to sound calm. No, she said, shaking her head. I was speechless. She wasn't going to let this go. If that was the case, I only had one play left. You're right, Ms. Vance. I like you. I've liked you for a long time, ever since I started working here. I just couldn't keep my feelings bottled up anymore, so I worked up the courage to send you those words. It was a gamble. If I was getting fired anyway, I might as well go down as a guy with a hopeless crush rather than a workplace harasser. If I denied it, those messages would be seen as a disgusting prank, a clear case for termination and blacklisting. My career would be toast. Her expression made it clear she wouldn't believe any excuse, so owning it was my only option. Oh? And what is it you like about me? Her tone softened slightly. I like that you're beautiful, Ms. Vance. I'm a sucker for a pretty face, I said bluntly. I see. Well, if you like me, then you must want me to be your girlfriend, correct? She asked suddenly. Huh? Of course, I stammered, completely lost. What was she doing? Was she mocking me before she brought down the hammer? And you'd want to marry me, too? She asked, raising an eyebrow. Marry you? To marry a woman like you, Ms. Vance, that would be the luckiest thing to happen to anyone. I nodded, throwing in a bit of flattery. Maybe if I played along, she'd let me off easy. Good, she said, slapping her hand lightly on the desk. Then I accept. I'll be your girlfriend. Oh, and you'll need your ID. We're going to City Hall this afternoon to get married. What the hell? I was completely dumbfounded. Had she lost her mind? Was I dreaming? The woman standing before me was Serafina Vance, one of the most sought-after women in the country, a goddess that countless powerful men dreamed of. And she had just agreed to be my girlfriend, and wanted to marry me? This was beyond surreal. No sane person would believe it. And I wasn't a fool. I could see a flicker of triumph in her beautiful eyes. It was a trap. A sweet, irresistible trap. But what was her motive? I was a broke coder living in a rented apartment with a few $1,000s to my name. I had nothing she could possibly want. The thought was terrifying. What kind of game was this Ice Queen playing? She was setting me up for a fall, one so spectacular I wouldn't even know what hit me. I had to refuse. Get married? No, no way. I shook my head frantically. What do you mean? You're not happy about marrying me? She frowned, a flicker of genuine hurt in her eyes, as if she'd been personally insulted. She, Serafina Vance, had just been rejected by this nobody. Ms. Vance, stop joking around, I pleaded. Just tell me what my punishment is. Why would I punish you? I want to marry you, she said, her voice completely serious. Marry? The two of us? You can't be serious. I'm not joking. Didn't you just confess to me? Didn't you say you wanted to marry me? There wasn't a hint of jest in her tone. I frowned, a sudden, crazy thought popping into my head. It was the only thing that made a shred of sense. She must be pregnant. And she needed a fall guy. A baby daddy. Ms. Vance, I said, choosing my words carefully. Whatever trouble you've gotten yourself into, you don't need to drag an innocent bystander into it. And for a problem like that, there are clinics you can go to. She stared at me, her expression shifting from irritation to pure confusion. Trouble? What trouble? What the hell was he talking about? Serafina was completely bewildered. Clinics? Ms. Vance, stop playing dumb, I said, emboldened by my theory. You're obviously trying to get me to be your fall guy. I may not have money, but I have my dignity. I'm not going to be some kid's stepfather. No way. Serafina finally understood. Her brow furrowed, her expression turning glacial. What are you talking about? I've never even been in a serious relationship, let alone been pregnant. Are you an idiot? Who's the idiot here? You wanting to marry me out of the blue? You're obviously setting me up for something. Now that the gloves were off, I didn't feel the need to be polite anymore. So that's what you're worried about? Serafina leaned back in her CEO chair, pulled a file from her drawer, and tossed it onto the desk. I glanced down. It was a prenuptial agreement. Read it. I picked up the prenup and skimmed through it. As expected, it was all about the division of assets post-marriage. This woman was cunning. She was going to marry me without giving me a single dime. No wonder she was a CEO, a total cheapskate. Ms. Vance, what is this all about? You marry me for a period of 1 year. After we divorce, I'll give you a sum of money, she stated bluntly. It finally clicked. So this was her real goal. A sham marriage. All that panic for nothing. I thought I was being scammed. You could have just said that from the start, I thought. Saved me a lot of freaking out. This would be my first marriage, I said, a little sullenly. That means I'd be a divorce afterward. It's everyone's first marriage. Serafina snapped, clearly annoyed. So, can I refuse? I asked, testing the waters. You can, she said casually. And then I can forward your sexually harassing messages to our legal department. I knew it. The blackmail card. Did she really think I was that scared? I gritted my teeth, about to refuse, when the system's voice chimed in my head. System notification, complete the Get Married Life Achievement to receive a 1000 evolution point reward. What? 1000 evolution points? That was a serious reward. With that many points, I could not only upgrade my brain to LV2 but also evolve my eyes. I had no idea what an eye evolution would do, but the possibilities were tantalizing. X-ray vision, maybe? The thought was too exciting to ignore. Taking a deep breath, I walked decisively to the desk, pulled up a chair, and sat down directly across from her. 1 year. After the divorce, how much do I get? $1 million, she said without hesitation. 1 million. To an average person, that was a fortune. In San Francisco, it was just enough for a down payment on a decent house. But for me, right now, it was an incredibly tempting offer. As a programmer, I couldn't save even a tenth of that in a year. All right. I'm in, I said firmly. She was the ice queen, and she wasn't worried. Why should a guy like me be scared? Besides, I'd walk away with $1 million and a huge system reward. It was a no-brainer. Good, she said, her expression serious. You are not to disclose our arrangement to anyone at the company. Can I ask one question? Why do you need to get married so badly? My curiosity got the better of me. That's none of your business. You'll understand in due time, she said dismissively. Then why me? Because you're easier to control. That stung. Not because I'm handsome? I thought resentfully. Because I'm easy to control. This woman was unbelievably arrogant. We'd see who was controlling whom in the future. I promised myself I'd be wary of her. A beautiful woman is one thing, but a beautiful woman with a brain is a dangerous combination. Serafina slid a pen across the desk. I signed the prenup without another word. Where's your ID? She asked. At my apartment. Wait for me in the parking garage. I'll change, and we'll go get your ID, then head to City Hall. Do we have to be in such a hurry? I asked, half laughing, half in disbelief. It was like she wanted to seal the deal before I could change my mind. It's Valentine's Day, isn't it? She said flatly. Wow. I never would have guessed the Ice Queen paid attention to stuff like that. How trendy. Just to be clear, I added, still a bit paranoid. After we're married, you're not going to demand we have kids or anything, right? She didn't answer. She just looked at me like I was a complete moron. Fine, fine. I'll be in the garage. I said awkwardly. Maybe I was overthinking things. She was just paying for a temporary husband, not a sperm donor. I headed back to my desk and leaned over to Mike. Hey, I've got to step out for a bit. If Peterson asks, tell him I'm in the bathroom. Leo, my man, we're swamped with work and you're bailing? What time do you plan on finishing tonight? Mike complained. It's not my choice. The CEO is making me go, I grumbled. The CEO? It's Valentine's Day. Don't tell me the Ice Queen is forcing you to go get married with her, Mike joked. You know, Mike, for a fat guy, you're surprisingly sharp. You guessed it, I smirked. Yeah, right, he scoffed. If you actually marry the Ice Queen, I'll call you Dad. I paused. Well now, I thought. That's my good son. I went down to the parking garage. A few minutes later, Serafina appeared, having changed into casual clothes. Even then, she couldn't hide her stunning figure. The woman was a walking work of art. She was wearing a face mask, obviously trying to avoid being recognized. "Let's go. Where's your car?" she asked as she approached. "I don't have one," I mumbled, embarrassed. "No car?" She seemed momentarily surprised, then sighed and led me to the other side of the garage. I followed her to a sleek, black Lamborghini. "Ha? I thought you drove a Maserati," I said, surprised again. "Not today. I'm driving this one," she explained. I was floored. Just how much money did this woman have? She switched supercars like people switch shoes. She had intended to take my car to be less conspicuous, but now we had no choice but to use the Lambo. We left the company garage, and she sped us toward my apartment complex, then straight to City Hall. As soon as the Lamborghini pulled up, it drew stares from everyone on the street. Serafina rushed into the building. We needed to get our photo taken first, and it was only then that I realized I hadn't changed. This was my wedding photo, and I was wearing a hoodie. In the photo booth area, a few other couples were already in line. "Hey, look," one person whispered. "That couple is getting married too. The girl drives a Lamborghini." "No way. The guy's dressed like he bought his clothes at Target. He's got to be a kept man." I almost choked. What's wrong with my clothes? And why does that automatically make me a sugar baby? A few minutes later, we had our photos and went to the registration window. "Hello, we'd like to register for a marriage license," Serafina said, taking a seat. "Okay, are you both sure you want to get married?" the clerk asked, her eyes darting between my casual attire and Serafina's obviously expensive clothes. We didn't exactly look like a loving couple. "We're sure," Serafina nodded. "Ma'am, our state's marriage laws require that both parties enter into the marriage willingly, without coercion." "Are you entering into this marriage of your own free will?" the clerk pressed. "Yes, I am," Serafina confirmed. "All right then. I'll need both of your IDs and for you to fill out these forms." The clerk handed us 2 applications. I was a little annoyed. Why did she only ask Serafina if she was willing? She didn't even ask me. Soon, the clerk stamped our marriage certificate and handed it to us. "There you go. Oh, and as a newly married couple, you're eligible for a free wellness screening upstairs. It's completely free." "Okay, thank you," Serafina said, taking the certificate and preparing to leave. But I was curious. I started walking toward the stairs to see what this free screening was all about. "Let's go," Serafina shot me a glare. "Aren't we going to get our screening?" I grinned. Her brow twitched. She looked like she wanted to curse me out. Screening my ass. We left City Hall, and Serafina quickly drove back to the company garage. The ride was completely silent. "Let's go up separately," she said once we'd parked. "You go first. I'll follow in a few minutes." "Ms. Vance," I said, holding up the marriage certificate with a newfound boldness. "Since we're married now, shouldn't my wife give her husband a promotion and a raise?" She just glared at me again. Just a joke, I thought. This woman has no sense of humor. I got out of the car with a sigh and headed up. The moment I sat down, Mike rushed over. "Leo, you're finally back. You're so dead," he said anxiously. "What?" "Right after you left, Peterson came by asking where you were." "I told him you were in the bathroom," Mike said sheepishly. My face fell. "How long ago was that?" "Not too long," Mike said grimly. "Just half an hour." That's a hard story to sell. "Half an hour in the bathroom," I muttered. "Leo Hayes. So you decided to show up after all." Peterson's roar echoed through the office. Mike flinched and scurried back to his desk to avoid the crossfire. Peterson stomped over, his face dark. "Ahem, Mr. Peterson. Were you looking for me?" I asked, feigning innocence. "Leo, you've got some nerve. Slacking off on company time? Where have you been?" He fumed. "I had a stomachache, sir." I was in the bathroom. A stomachache? For half an hour? Who do you think you're kidding? Peterson slammed his hand on my desk. Pfft, ha ha. A few of my coworkers couldn't help but chuckle. It was a bad one, sir. I had to go 3 times. Each trip took about half an hour, I said shamelessly. What was I afraid of? Worst case, I'd just have him take it up with the Ice Queen. We'd see who she sided with. My response sent the other coders into fits of laughter. You insolent brat. You're out of control. I'm telling you right now, if you don't finish the work I assigned you today, not only will you lose this month's bonus, but I'll dock your year-end bonus too. Peterson snarled, then stormed off. Whoa, Leo, you've got balls of steel, Mike said, giving me a thumbs up. I just shook my head and sat down in front of my computer, firing up my coding software. Even though I was now married to Serafina, it didn't mean anything in practice. I still had to work. Otherwise, how would I pay my rent? The morning's marriage escapade had cost me a lot of time. I was probably looking at an all-nighter. I started coding based on the assigned module, but I immediately noticed something was different. My coding speed was incredibly fast, much faster than usual. And when I checked my work, there were 0 bugs. Whoa! Could this be the effect of my brain evolution? My increased intellect? I decided to test it. To my astonishment, my coding was flawless. I was writing code as easily as I would write an email. Before, I had to write a segment, test it, write another, test again. Now, the code just flowed from my thoughts to my fingertips. My hands flew across the keyboard, typing out complex functions without any of the usual hitches or bugs. My memory and understanding of programming languages were now crystal clear. I could analyze the design modules and translate them into code with lightning speed. Clack, clack, clack. The sound of my keyboard was a constant, rapid-fire rhythm. Dude, Leo, you're typing that fast? You're going to have a million errors. Slow down, Mike advised from the next cubicle. Slow down? I was perfectly fine. I was finally experiencing the power of the system. This evolution was no joke. By a little after 5 p.m., my keyboard fell silent. I was done. I had finished the entire workload. I can't believe I finished so much work so quickly, I marveled. At my previous speed, a project this size would have taken me all night. Awesome. I can actually leave on time, I said, stretching and gathering my things. Leo, are you crazy? Leaving on time? You haven't finished your work. Do you really not want your bonus? Mike was still frantically typing. Who says I didn't finish? I'm done, I shrugged. Done? Yeah, right, Mike scoffed. I didn't bother explaining. It wasn't like I could tell him I was now a man with a system. That was a secret I had to keep. At 5:30, I grabbed my bag and clocked out. My colleagues in the development department stared in amazement, then shook their heads. They probably thought I had just given up. Ah, to be young and reckless. No wife and kids to worry about. Yeah, for us middle-aged programmers, there's no way out. We just have to suck it up. I think the kid's a fool. A year-end bonus is tens of thousands of dollars. He just threw it away. I overheard the older guys gossiping as I left. The subway ride from the office to my apartment took an hour, plus another half hour of walking. It was 7 p.m. by the time I got back to my complex. As luck would have it, just as I reached my building, I ran into my landlady, Mrs. Peterson, and her daughter, Melody. I tried to duck my head and slip past them. Leo, dear. Your rent is 7 days late. Did you forget? Mrs. Peterson had spotted me. In a city like San Francisco, after all my expenses, there was barely anything left of my salary, and I still had to send money home to my parents. They'd spent a lot putting me through college, and I wanted to help ease their burden. Rent was due every 3 months, and right now, I only had a couple $1,000s in my account. Not nearly enough. Mrs. Peterson, I'm a little short on cash right now. Could you give me a few more days? I'll transfer the rent as soon as I get my paycheck, I said, embarrassed. Is that so? Well, it's alright if you pay next month, she said cheerfully. I was stunned. Wow, was my landlady suddenly feeling generous? But, you'll have to add 10% interest for the late payment. Never mind. She was still the same old Mrs. Peterson. She was practically running her own P2P lending service. Mom! Leo's having a tough time, her daughter, Melody, chimed in. She was a sweet, kind-hearted girl, and I'd always liked her. Everyone's having a tough time. Mrs. Peterson shot back. I'm already giving him a good deal. If I put that money in my semiconductor ETF, I'd be making 20% a month. So, Mrs. Peterson was a day trader. And she was into semiconductors. A real roller coaster. Ma'am, the 20% a month was last year's market. It's been in the red recently, I pointed out. I didn't have money to invest, but I still followed the market. What do you know? I've also invested in green energy and high-end liquor stocks, she said proudly. I was speechless. It must be nice to have money. Well, ma'am, your taste is quite eclectic. A lot of young people don't appreciate good liquor these days, they're too busy pouring their money into tech stocks. Less of the sweet talk. If you don't have the rent next month, you're out, she said, pulling Melody away. As they walked off, I heard her mutter, Melody, I'm telling you, don't ever date a guy like Leo. No house, no car, no future. But Mom, he's handsome. What good is handsome? Can you eat it? You silly girl, you don't know anything. Without money, life is just a series of miserable chores. Their words, though not loud, hit hard. The insult was potent. I went up to my one-bedroom apartment. $1,800 a month, which was a steal for this area. I could have found something cheaper, but it would have been a shared space. I valued my privacy and needed a quiet environment to study. In a city like this, if you're not constantly learning and improving, you'll be left behind. I collapsed onto the sofa and immediately focused on my super evolution system. Because I had completed the marriage achievement, I had received 1,000 evolution points, bringing my total to 1,200. I had already learned the basics of the system. Evolving any body part to LV1 cost 100 points, LV2 cost 500, LV3 cost 1,000, and LV4 cost a whopping 5,000. I had already tasted the benefits of the brain evolution, so I decided to upgrade it from LV1 to LV2 first. System, initiate brain evolution. Yes, host. Initiating evolution. A moment later, I felt a strange lightness in my head. Ding. Congratulations, host. You have successfully completed LV2 brain evolution. I immediately checked my status. Brain LV2 ability, advanced intellect. Advanced intellect. Awesome. I slapped my thigh in excitement. If LV2 was already advanced, I couldn't imagine what the next level would be. But I didn't have enough points for LV3. So, I decided to evolve the next target, my eyes. System, initiate eye evolution. Yes, host. Ding. Congratulations, host. You have successfully completed LV1 eye evolution. I eagerly checked my status again. Eyes LV1 ability, hyperreading. System, what's hyperreading? Host, with hyperreading, your reading speed will be dramatically increased. Reading speed? I spotted a book on my coffee table, a comprehensive guide to the Arabic language. It wasn't mine, the previous tenant had left it behind. I picked it up. Whoa! My reading speed was incredible. I was flying through the pages, at least 10 times faster than a normal person. Ha! I can actually understand this. Complex grammar and vocabulary that would have been gibberish to me before were now perfectly clear. Flip. 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 I tore through the book, and not only was I reading fast, but I was retaining everything. The knowledge was being absorbed directly into my brain. This was the power of advanced intellect. My abilities for learning, memory, comprehension, and analysis were now off the charts. In half an hour, I had finished the entire, thick Arabic language textbook. At the same time, I felt like I hadn't had enough. I grabbed the Arabic dictionary next to it, also left by the previous tenant. He must have been an Arabic major. Another half-hour later, I had finished the dictionary. Every Arabic word was now part of my mental vocabulary. I opened my mouth and spoke a few sentences in fluent Arabic. This is amazing. With this ability, it's like having a supercomputer for a brain, I rejoiced. A super learning ability was like unlocking countless cheat codes for life. I then pulled out all my old college textbooks. The subjects I'd struggled with before were now a breeze to review. I nuked a packet of instant noodles and continued my reading spree. An hour later, I had devoured 10 books. I felt like I now had the skills of a top-tier network security expert. After finishing the professional books, I picked up an English dictionary I'd bought. If I could learn Arabic, I might as well master English too. Soon, my English proficiency had reached the level of a professional linguist. Then, a thought struck me. I needed to learn a skill that could make me money. I still owed rent, after all. That's it. Freelance programming. I immediately thought of the Dragon's Lair, the world's largest online community and marketplace for elite IT professionals. The site had a comprehensive knowledge base, and you could buy tutorials and practical project guides. More importantly, clients could post freelance software development and programming jobs. Freelancers could take on these jobs, deliver the product, and get paid. Over the years, the Dragon's Lair had built a robust reputation system. As long as your work was good, you were guaranteed to get paid. I clicked on the job board, where I saw all sorts of IT-related tasks. The jobs varied in difficulty and had different deadlines. Once you accepted a job, if you missed the deadline, the contract was automatically voided. So, freelancers were careful not to take on jobs they weren't sure they could complete. A new job posted today. I saw a pinned post at the top of the board. The pay was $30,000. I clicked on it. The client was a user named Jade Goddess, and the task was to build a mini e-commerce app. Building a simple e-commerce app wasn't particularly difficult. So why had so few people taken the job? I quickly found out why. The deadline was 8 a.m. the next morning. It was an impossible timeline. A normal mini-app project would go through UI design, code development, and testing, a process that usually takes 20 to 30 days. This job demanded it in 12 hours. It was a joke. The comments section was already full. Honest Fatty LVL3, is this client trying to work us programmers to death? Dorky Knight LVL4, yeah, a deadline this short? The client has to be trolling. Keyboard Eater LVL2, even if you just copy and paste existing code for a shopping app, you still couldn't finish in time. Golden Mouse LVL8, the pressure is immense. Machiball LVL1, oh my god, it's the legendary Golden Mouse. My idol. Keyboard Eater LVL2, even the master feels the pressure. I found the user comments amusing. All freelancers on the site had levels. The more jobs you completed, and the more difficult they were, the more EXP you gained. This meant that the higher a user's level, the greater their technical skill. Golden Mouse LVL8 was considered an authority in the field, a prime target for tech recruiters. A grin spread across my face. Others might not be able to do it, but I wanted to give it a shot. I spent the next half hour cramming the 3 main languages for mini-app development, JS, CSS, and HTML5. Then, I registered an account under the username Golden Oldie and accepted the e-commerce app job from Jade Goddess. The comments section immediately exploded. Machiball LVL1, who is this master who took the job? Dorky Knight LVL4, is this a joke? The user who took it is named Golden Oldie. Keyboard Eater LVL2, Golden Oldie LVL1? It's a total noob. Honest Fatty LVL3, this has to be a troll. Can't wait to see the mission fail tomorrow morning. Dorky Knight LVL4, a reckless newbie. Mission failure dings your reputation score, you know. I didn't have time to read the comments. My fingers were already flying across the keyboard. My typing speed was insane, the code seemed to have become muscle memory. Finally, it's done. I glanced at the time. It was exactly 10 p.m. It had only taken me 2 hours. Let that sink in. A job that would take a normal team 20 days, I finished in 2 hours. If any of those elite IT guys had watched me work, they probably would have coughed up blood. Of course, my advantage was that I didn't need to test my code, which saved a ton of time. I had absolute confidence in it. Submit product. I packaged the program and uploaded it. I wonder if I'll get paid for this, I muttered. I was confident in my work, but it still had to be approved by the client. I probably wouldn't know until tomorrow. After I submitted, the job post lit up again. Freelancers from all over the Dragon's Lair flocked to the thread to see the spectacle. Submitting the product in 2 hours? It sounded like a tall tale. The discussion became a hot topic on the site. But I had already moved on. I was now browsing the hacker section of the Dragon's Lair. As a network expert, I was fascinated by the world of hacking. It was my childhood admiration for those mysterious hackers that had led me to major in network engineering in the first place. Now, with my super brain, I was hungry for knowledge. Because I knew that knowledge was power. I read until midnight. If I didn't have to work the next day, I probably would have pulled an all-nighter. The next morning, I woke up at 5:30. I was surprised to find myself feeling incredibly refreshed, not tired at all. It must have been another side effect of the evolution. I went downstairs to grab breakfast, buying an egg wrap to eat on my way to the station. Leo. I saw Melody walking towards me, holding a lunchbox. She was wearing a loose pink t-shirt, denim shorts, and her hair was in a ponytail. Even in the baggy shirt, her figure was undeniably impressive. At least a 36C, I guessed. A classic girl next door. Melody, getting breakfast? Yeah, my mom sent me to get some tofu pudding, she said, swinging the lunchbox. Oh, by the way, Leo, my mom's just like that. Don't worry about what she said yesterday. I smiled. It's fine. I was late with the rent. Aren't you taking your college entrance exams soon? Yeah, in about 2 weeks, she nodded. You've got to work hard. When you get into college, I'll treat you to a big meal. Leo, you promised. She said, her face lighting up as she bounced on her feet. I've got to catch the subway. Talk to you later, I said with a wave, heading towards the station. Even though I woke up early, the subway was delayed again. I swiped my card at work at exactly 8:30, not much earlier than usual. Ding! Just as I sat down, my phone buzzed with a new message. Your account ending in 1818 received a deposit of $30,000 on May 21st at 8:31 a.m. Current balance, $32,318.61. Memo, the Dragon's Lair payment. What? The job I submitted last night had been approved, and the payment was already in my account. I was ecstatic. I had actually done it. 30 grand, just like that. That was 3 months' salary. This was a fast way to make money. Leo Hayes. You're still smiling. Why didn't you stay for overtime yesterday? Just as I was celebrating, a roar shattered my good mood. I didn't even have to look. It was Peterson. My colleagues all shot me sympathetic looks. They had seen this coming. Sure enough, Peterson walked over, teacup in hand. The entire department stayed late yesterday. Where did you run off to? Why should I have stayed late? I said coolly. Why? You little brat, you dare talk back to me? I'm telling you now, your bonus for this month is gone, and so is your year-end bonus. Peterson was furious. I was furious too. He had clearly said that as long as we finished our assigned tasks, we could leave. I had been about to tell him I'd finished my work when I left, but he hadn't even given me a chance to explain before calling me a brat and docking my pay. That was crossing a line. Peterson, who the hell do you think you are? Acting all high and mighty. I retorted. What? The entire office fell silent. Peterson was the manager, used to throwing his weight around. The staff always just took it. But today, I had snapped. Everyone was shocked, but also secretly thrilled. I was doing what they all wanted to do. You've got a lot of nerve, Leo. You're defying me? Do you even want this job anymore? I'm the boss of this department. You think I can't fire you without a single penny? He raged. You know, for a manager, you're pretty clueless. Don't you know anything about labor laws? Even if you fire me, the company still has to pay severance, I said with a sneer. Put. This time, my colleagues couldn't hold back their laughter. You. Peterson's face was beet red. You what? And stop calling yourself the boss. This isn't the mob. Do you even know your nickname around here? It's the walking turd. Seeing Peterson flustered was surprisingly satisfying. Now that I had the system, I had plenty of ways to make money. I wasn't afraid of getting fired. Besides, the CEO was my wife now. Leo Hayes. You're rebelling. Get out. I'm telling you, you're fired. Peterson slammed his hand on the table and screamed. My dear manager turd, not only do you not know labor laws, but you don't even know company policy. Department managers don't have the authority to fire employees. Only the CEO can do that. How did you even get this job? I suddenly realized that being angry was also a kind of power. Peterson's face turned pale. He had gotten the job through connections, and my words were a direct jab at that, making him a laughingstock. The commotion had started to attract attention from other departments. Fine. I can't fire you, right? Then I'll get Ms. Vance down here. When she finds out you've been insubordinate, she'll fire you. You just wait. Peterson snarled, pulling out his phone. My colleagues looked at me with pity. If Serafina came, I was probably done for. Defying a superior was a major taboo in corporate culture, and Peterson had connections to a board member. What's all this commotion? A sharp voice cut through the air, startling everyone. It was Serafina, standing at the entrance to the development office, her face like ice. She had been on the third floor for a meeting and had heard the argument. Ah, Ms. Vance. The onlookers from other departments greeted her respectfully and quickly scurried back to their desks. Peterson's face lit up. Ms. Vance, you came at the perfect time. This subordinate of mine is out of control, defying my authority. I recommend we terminate him immediately, he said eagerly. What happened? Serafina frowned, her eyes landing on me. Well, Ms. Vance, this kid yesterday. Peterson launched into a tirade, painting me as a lazy, insubordinate slacker. Yesterday, during work hours, he snuck off and lied to me about being in the bathroom. He has no respect for authority. I chuckled silently. She knew exactly where I was yesterday. Serafina waved her hand, cutting him off. Leo, were you just defying Manager Peterson? She asked, walking towards me. I was. But he insulted me first and threatened to dock my pay for no reason, I said without fear. Manager Peterson, did you insult him? She asked, her brow furrowed. Ms. Vance, I was just angry. But this kid ran off yesterday without finishing his work, which delayed the project. Peterson quickly changed the subject. Who told you I didn't finish my work? I completed my assigned tasks and left on time. What's wrong with that? I retorted. You finished? Don't be ridiculous. Everyone else worked until midnight. You think you finished by 5:30? Peterson scoffed. All right, that's enough. Where is your work product? Serafina said, looking at me. I immediately opened my computer and found the program file from last night. Peterson saw it and immediately said, I'm sure it's not done. You probably just threw together a bunch of buggy code to try and trick us. Manager Peterson, we can just run it and see if there are any bugs. What's the rush? I smirked. Fine. With Ms. Vance here, you can't talk your way out of this. Run it, Peterson sneered. I ran the program. The results came back, 0 errors. But Peterson didn't know the first thing about programming. He couldn't understand the report. Well, Manager Peterson? Serafina asked. Mike, come take a look at this, Peterson stammered, waving Mike over. Mike came over, and after a moment of inspection, his jaw dropped. Ms. Vance, Leo's work is indeed complete, and there are no bugs. The entire department gasped. What? Peterson was dumbfounded. Manager Peterson, if Leo's work is done, then it seems you misunderstood him, Serafina said. Ms. Vance, there must be a problem. You guys, come take a look, Peterson called over several other senior coders. But they all came to the same conclusion. The work was flawless. In fact, the application's performance and fluency were even better than what they could produce. Peterson was speechless. Manager Peterson, perhaps you should be more patient with your employees in the future, Serafina said sternly. Peterson was seething, but he had to swallow his pride. All right, everyone get back to work, she said. Ms. Vance, are we just going to let his insubordination slide? Peterson couldn't let it go. If I wasn't punished, he'd lose all face. Serafina frowned. She was well aware of Peterson's incompetence. If it weren't for his connections, she would have gotten rid of him long ago. Her previous words were a warning, but he clearly didn't get it. And besides, I was her husband, albeit a fake one. Manager Peterson doesn't understand programming at all and just bosses people around. Since I'd already made an enemy of him, I might as well go all in. You. Peterson stammered, furious. My colleagues all looked at me with admiration. I was saying what they had all been thinking. But Serafina looked displeased. She had just defended me, and now I was stirring up more trouble. Do you think you're smarter than me? She seemed to think. Don't you think I know how to handle this? Leo, if you have a suggestion, come to my office, she said, then turned and walked out. She didn't want to continue this conversation here. If I said something reckless, like mentioning our marriage, it would be a mess. Fine by me, I said, following her out. Peterson looked like he was about to have a stroke. A moment later, we were on the 5th floor. Mandy, the assistant, was surprised to see me with the CEO again. Mandy, I need to speak with Leo. Don't let anyone disturb us, Serafina instructed. Yes, Ms. Vance, Mandy nodded quickly. We entered the office, and Serafina immediately ignored me, sitting down at her desk and turning on her computer as if I wasn't there. Honey, you should have just fired Peterson back there, I said cheekily. Slam! Serafina slammed her hand on the desk. Leo, who are you calling honey? Who is your wife? We just got married yesterday. Are you already trying to back out of it? I said playfully. You, surname Hayes. If you keep messing with me, do you believe I'll actually fire you? She fumed. Fire me? Fine. Then we can just take another trip to City Hall, I said coolly. To City Hall? For what? She asked, stunned. A divorce. To be honest, I'm already regretting it. A divorce? Fine by me, she said, nodding immediately. I was shocked. She agreed so easily? Really? Really? But you should have read the prenup more carefully. Her eyes twinkled with a mischievous light. What do you mean? I asked, a bad feeling creeping up on me. If we divorce before 1 year is up, you have to pay a penalty. How much? Not much. Just 200 million, she said nonchalantly. What the hell? 200 million. You're a damn shark. My eye twitched. I had been played. A shark? You're a working professional. Don't you know you're supposed to read all the terms before you sign a contract? She said, looking smug. Fine. So I can't get a divorce. Then I'll quit. I gritted my teeth. Quit? Why? She asked. Why? Peterson is an incompetent manager. You saw it yourself. He doesn't even know basic programming. With a guy like that in charge, there's no room for growth. I think those are just excuses. Are you afraid of him getting back at you? She asked with a smirk. Damn, she was smart. That was exactly what I was worried about. Peterson was the type to hold a grudge. Afraid of him? That's a laugh, I said, my pride refusing to admit it. If you're not afraid, then stay. With me protecting you, what can he do? She said calmly. Of course, she didn't want me to quit. She still needed me for her plan. Oh, so my dear wife is going to protect her husband now? I teased. If you don't start acting professional, I'll throw you out. She snapped. All right. No more jokes, Ms. CEO. If you don't want me to quit, then how about you give me a different position? I suggested. What position do you want? How about vice president? Fine, she said coldly. As long as you can prove you have the skills of a VP, the job is yours. I was speechless. Just then, there was a knock on the office door. Come in, Serafina said. Mandy rushed in. Ms. Vance, we have a problem. Customer service is flooded with calls. Our SwiftBird app is down. What? Serafina's expression changed. Leo, you can go back to your desk. Mandy, come with me to the operations department. She said to me, then rushed out with Mandy. I was surprised. SwiftBird was down? Horizon Dynamics had many business ventures, but SwiftBird, a mobile news app created by Serafina, was a project she was particularly passionate about. Over the past 2 years, its performance had grown steadily. My department was responsible for its development. With the 618 shopping festival just around the corner, a lot of advertisers had bought ad space on the app. If it was down now, it was a major disaster. No wonder the usually calm Serafina was panicking. When I got back to my department, my colleagues surrounded me. Leo, are you okay? I'm fine. You're fine? The CEO didn't punish you? Nope. Mike and the others were stunned. Ha, Leo, you're our hero. You tore Peterson a new one. It was awesome, Mike said, giving me a thumbs up. I glanced towards the manager's office. Peterson wasn't there. Where's the walking turd? He went to the operations department. We've got a huge problem. SwiftBird is down, Mike said. I pulled out my phone and tried to open the app. It wouldn't load. The interface was plastered with spammy, violent, and pornographic content. This looks like a virus attack, I said. Yeah, probably. Operations is in chaos. The tech department is getting slammed, Mike nodded. Just then, Mike's phone rang. He answered, and his face fell. What's wrong? I asked. Leo, Peterson wants us to go to operations. The tech department is saying our code has a vulnerability and they're blaming us, Mike said dejectedly. Those bastards. The entire development team cursed in unison. Let's go check it out, I said, and Mike and I headed to the operations department. The place was a madhouse. Peterson and the head of the tech department, David Young, were in a heated argument. Peterson, this is definitely a problem with your code. It has to be a vulnerability that let the virus in, David said through gritted teeth. Don't be ridiculous, David. What could be wrong with our code? Your department is in charge of network security. You failed to do your job, and now you're blaming us? Peterson retorted. At Horizon, the CEO was at the top, followed by the VPs, then the executive directors. The EDs were divided by business unit. My department and David's both fell under the mobile internet division. The ED position for our division had been vacant since the last one resigned. Peterson, David, and several other mid-level managers were all vying for the promotion. So, of course, they were constantly at each other's throats. With a major incident like this, no one wanted to take the blame. Slam! Serafina slammed her hand on a table, and the two men fell silent. She was furious. Is this really the time to be arguing about who's to blame? Shouldn't our top priority be getting the app back online? She yelled. Peterson and David flinched. David, you said it's a code vulnerability. What kind of vulnerability? Can it be patched? Serafina demanded. Well, David stammered. He had just been trying to shift blame. He had no idea if there was actually a vulnerability. And it's a virus, right? What kind? Do we have a specialized antivirus for it? She pressed. It's probably a new type of virus, David said, sweat beading on his forehead. The app has been down for half an hour, and neither of you has figured out what the problem is. And you're still standing here arguing. Get your people to work, now. Serafina raged. Yes, yes. Peterson told Mike and me to start investigating, while David had his tech team do the same. 10 minutes later, David's face turned pale. What is it? Serafina asked. Ms. Vance, it's a superworm. Our entire server cluster is infected. We're in big trouble, David said, his voice trembling. What? Serafina's eyes widened. When she had first proposed the news app, the board had been against it. But she had pushed it through, and now SwiftBird had over 500 million users in the country and 80 million monthly active users. It was a huge success. With the 618 festival starting tonight, this was the worst possible time for the app to go down. It would lead to a flood of complaints from advertisers and a massive loss of trust. Not only that, Ms. Vance, David added, but many of our programs have been corrupted. We might have to restore from a backup, which means we'll lose some data. We cannot lose data. What's the fastest solution? She said sternly. Losing SwiftBird's data would make them a laughingstock in the industry and could cause the entire project to fail. Ms. Vance, to completely eradicate the virus, will need to call in the experts from 370 Security. But even with their fastest response time, they won't be here until tonight. The app won't be back online until tomorrow at the earliest, David said. Tomorrow? Are you all useless? Can't anyone solve this crisis right now? Serafina swore, something no one had ever heard her do before. The room fell silent. No one had ever seen her this angry. You two are both fighting to be the new ED, right? Whichever one of you solves this problem gets the job. Do either of you have what it takes? She challenged. Peterson and David both looked down, not daring to speak. Ms. Vance, if I solve the problem, can I be the ED? A playful voice cut through the tension. Everyone turned to see who had spoken. It was me. Serafina looked at me, her anger flaring up again. Was this really the time for jokes? Leo. Who do you think you are? Stop bluffing, Peterson snapped. Who says I'm bluffing? This virus has a strong replication ability, but I can write a small program to wipe it out completely, I said confidently. I wasn't lying. While they had been arguing, I had already analyzed the server. When it came to network security, I was now a super-level expert. Don't be ridiculous. Yeah, this kid is way too arrogant. We have so many people here who can't solve it, and he thinks a small program can do the trick? The tech department staff all scoffed. But Serafina looked at me intently. Can you really get rid of the virus? Yes, I can. I guarantee that in 10 minutes, SwiftBird will be back to normal, I said seriously. And the data? She asked. The data will be completely intact, I said with unwavering confidence. Leo, who do you think you are? A network security expert? Peterson sneered. Ms. Vance, are you willing to let me try? If I fail, I'll pack my bags and leave, I offered. Ms. Vance, let him try, Peterson said, a sudden glimmer of interest in his eyes at the thought of me leaving. I sighed. What a piece of work. Leo, I'll give you 10 minutes, Serafina said through gritted teeth. She didn't know if I could do it, but at this point, what was another 10 minutes? I quickly wrote a script on a computer, then deployed it across the entire server cluster to scan for and eliminate the virus. The room was silent. Staff members were frantically refreshing the SwiftBird app, waiting to see if it would come back online. Peterson watched me, a smug smile on his face, already imagining me packing my bags. Okay, done. I said, snapping my fingers. Done? What's done? The app is still down. Peterson jeered, holding up his phone. Manager Peterson, use your brain. Try restarting the app, I said, shaking my head. Whoa! Ms. Vance, Swiftbird is back online. Ms. Vance, our backend systems are restored. Ms. Vance, all client-side functions are back to normal. The operations and tech departments erupted in cheers. I had actually done it. Serafina looked at her watch. It had only been 8 minutes. The tech staff now looked at me with awe, as if I were a god. How is this possible? Peterson was in disbelief. After a thorough check, all systems were confirmed to be normal. The data was intact. Serafina finally let out a sigh of relief. The crisis was averted. Ms. Vance, now that the crisis is over and the problem is solved, shouldn't you be promoting me? I grinned. Kid, Ms. Vance was just joking. You can't possibly take that seriously, David said immediately. That's right, Leo. Even if you got rid of the virus, that doesn't mean you can be an ED. That requires management experience, not just technical skills, Peterson chimed in. Really? In that case, Manager Peterson, you definitely can't be the ED, I said. Why not? He huffed. You just said it yourself. An ED needs technical experience, and you don't have any, I pointed out. Why do you say I don't? Peterson's face darkened. You have technical experience? Then install a new OS for everyone to see. Do you even know how? I challenged him directly. Peterson was flustered. He didn't even know how to do that basic task. The room filled with stifled laughter. Leo, even if you got rid of the virus, what do you know about network security? David said, trying to save face. What do I know? Your security system is a joke. The firewall policies are wide open, the intrusion detection system has half its features disabled, and the servers are full of unpatched vulnerabilities. If it were up to me, I'd build a complete defense in-depth system, I said, rattling off a list of their security flaws. Well. David was speechless. Can you really build a better defense system? Serafina asked. Of course. And our programming language needs a major upgrade. A lot of the code we're using is outdated, which makes it hard to update and expand the software's functionality in the future, I added, pointing out the flaws in our own development process. All right, Serafina said, making a decision. From now on, you are the new executive director of the mobile internet division. Today's crisis had shown her the importance of top-tier technical talent. She wasn't sure if I could handle the responsibilities of an ED, but she was willing to give me a chance. In her eyes, ability was what mattered most, not corporate politics. Whoa! The room erupted in gasps. I had actually been promoted. From a regular employee to an executive director in one leap. It was a corporate miracle. Ms. Vance, you can't be serious. What qualifications does he have? I object. Peterson blurted out. Who are you to object to how I run my company? I'm telling you now, you're fired, Serafina said, her voice sharp and authoritative. Ha? Peterson was stunned. Fired? It had to be a mistake. He had connections. Ms. Vance, you must be joking. I was just speaking out of turn. Of course, I have no right to object to your appointments, he backpedaled quickly. I'm not joking. You can go to HR to process your termination this afternoon. But, Ms. Vance, you can't just fire me like that, he pleaded. Don't worry, the company will give you the severance you're owed, she said flatly. Her mind was made up. Ms. Vance, I was wrong. I'm a long-time employee. I've done so much for this company. This will dishearten all the veteran employees, he begged. Done so much? Name one thing. Peterson, don't you know your own worth? She said scornfully. Ms. Vance, that's going too far. Board member Zhang is my uncle. I'll explain it to your uncle myself. But my decision to fire you today is final, she said, her voice unyielding. Fine. Ms. Vance, if you won't give my uncle face, then don't expect his support on the board. Peterson snarled, then stormed out. Mandy, notify HR and make a company-wide announcement about today's personnel changes. Leo Hayes is now the executive director of the mobile internet division, Serafina instructed. Yes, Ms. Vance, Mandy nodded. Director Hayes, she said, turning to me. The rest is up to you. Ensure the app remains stable. Serafina gave me a final instruction. Got it, I nodded. With that, she and Mandy left. Whoa, Director Hayes, congratulations. The head of the operations department, Tom Woods, was the first to rush over and offer his congratulations. Director Hayes, you're a true tech guru. You absolutely deserve this position. That's right, Director Hayes is an idol to all of us engineers. Director Hayes, please guide us in the future. In an instant, I was surrounded by a swarm of employees, all offering enthusiastic praise. I suddenly felt the warmth of their admiration, and it was a bit intoxicating. Just then, the tech department manager, David Young, stepped forward, a broad smile on his face. Director Hayes is truly a young talent. I, David, am deeply impressed. From now on, I will be Director Hayes's most loyal subordinate. Everyone in the room stared at David in stunned silence. This guy was a masterclass in sycophancy. A true corporate survivor. A pug. Just moments ago, he had been vehemently opposing my promotion in front of the CEO, and now he was pledging his undying loyalty. The irony was palpable. I was taken aback as well. Was this what office politics was all about? Shameless brown-nosing? It was true, the corporate world was full of people like David, sucking up to get ahead. Although he had some technical skills, I knew I would have to get rid of him sooner or later. Manager Young, I said, my tone professional. Although the virus has been temporarily dealt with, the tech department cannot afford to be complacent. This afternoon, I want you to start reinforcing our defense systems according to my technical requirements. Of course, Director Hayes. Understood, David nodded eagerly. For the rest of the afternoon, I went through all the servers and network layers, reinforcing the defenses and implementing a comprehensive security overhaul. As I worked, I made sure to explain the process to the engineers in the tech department. They quickly realized that their new director was the real deal, a hidden master. After I had finished upgrading the security system, I returned to the development office. Whoa, Leo, you're back. My colleagues from the dev team saw me and swarmed around, congratulating me excitedly. I chatted with them for a bit. Hey, Mike, where's my stuff? I noticed that my desk had been cleared out. Haha, you're an executive director now. You have your own office. Your new assistant already moved all your things, Mike explained. My assistant? I was stunned. You don't know? Check the latest announcement on the company's internal system. Mike pulled me over to his computer and opened the company portal. At the top was a new personnel announcement published that afternoon. I read it. The document made no mention of the app crash. It only praised my outstanding contributions and announced my direct promotion to executive director of the mobile internet division, complete with a personal assistant. It also announced the termination of Peterson as the head of software development. Ha, my dear director, you're a man with a personal assistant now. And a pretty one, at that, Mike said, his voice filled with envy. Even if they assigned me an assistant, HR would have to recruit someone. How could it be so fast? I asked, puzzled. HR has a pool of reserve staff, didn't you know? Mike explained. Is that so? Well, I'm going to go check out my new office, I said, intrigued. But then I remembered something and pulled Mike back. Mike, I'm going to recommend you to the CEO for the department manager position. Any objections? I asked with a grin. Ha! Mike was overjoyed. Who in the corporate world didn't want a promotion? He just never expected me to recommend him. Leo, bro, Mike was speechless. Alright, no need for thanks. Just buy me dinner later, I said, patting him on the shoulder before leaving. I recommended Mike not only because we were friends, but also because he was genuinely a skilled programmer. The executive director's office for the mobile internet division was in a prime corner on the third floor, but it had been unoccupied until now. In front of the office was a secretary's desk, but it was currently empty. I pushed open the door and saw a young woman with her back to me, bent over, wiping down a bookshelf with a cloth. Ahem, I cleared my throat. The woman quickly stood up and turned around. She was wearing a white blouse, a black pencil skirt, and a blue silk scarf tied around her neck. With her delicate, oval face, she was quite attractive. "Director Hayes, you're back," she said, a little nervously. "Yes. You know who I am?" I smiled. "Yes, I reviewed your file in HR. By the way, my name is Chloe Vance." "I'll be your personal assistant from now on," Chloe said, standing at attention as she introduced herself. "All right, Chloe. How old are you?" I asked, sitting down at my new desk. "Director, I'm 23. I just graduated last year." 23? I'm 2 years older than you. "You don't have to be so formal with me," I said with a friendly smile. Chloe visibly relaxed, a hint of joy in her eyes. She hadn't expected her new boss to be a handsome young man who was also so down-to-earth, unlike the other stern-faced executives in the company. We chatted for a while in the office, getting to know each other. Chloe was a straightforward and bubbly person, which I liked. "Director, I'm so lucky to have a boss like you," Chloe said with a happy smile. "Don't celebrate too soon, Chloe," I teased. "I'm very demanding when it comes to work. You'll have to be careful, or I might have to punish you. And it could be a very severe punishment." "Oh? A severe punishment? What kind of punishment, Director?" she asked curiously. "A spanking. Are you scared?" I joked. "Oh?" Chloe's face turned red, but she said boldly, "I'm not scared. If I make a mistake, you can spank me all you want, Director." Chloe, you're really refreshingly honest. Do you have a boyfriend?" I asked. "No, I've been single for 23 years. It's pathetic," she said with a sigh. "No way. You're so pretty. Are all the guys you know blind?" "Director, you're teasing me again." "Maybe it's because I'm too much of a tomboy. All the guys I know just treat me like one of the brothers," Chloe giggled. "So what's your type?" "I like successful, talented young men like you, Director." "Oh, what a shame," I said, feigning regret. "Why is it a shame, Director?" Chloe asked, confused. "Because I'm already married." "Otherwise, you might have had a chance," I said with a smirk. "Oh? Director, you must be joking," Chloe said with a pout, not believing me at all. Ring, ring, ring. Just then, the phone on the secretary's desk outside rang. "Oh, there's a call," Chloe said, rushing out to answer it. A moment later, she came back in. "Director, Ms. Vance said to be in her office at 5. I looked at my watch. It was already 4 p.m. "Okay, that gives me an hour." "That's enough." "Chloe, I need to work on a proposal," I said, turning to my computer. "Yes, Director," Chloe nodded and left. At 5, I finished a proposal for a comprehensive backup system and went to find Serafina. This time, when her assistant, Mandy, saw me, she immediately stood up respectfully. "Director Hayes," she greeted me proactively. This was the difference a promotion made. Everyone's attitude towards me had changed. "Is Ms. Vance in?" "Yes, she said you can go right in when you arrive." "Thanks." Mandy opened the door for me, and I walked in. Serafina wasn't at her desk. She was standing in front of a wine cabinet, on her tiptoes, trying to place a bottle of red wine on the top shelf. But the shelf was a bit too high for her to reach. Well, honey. Did I get a promotion and you're planning to pop some champagne to celebrate?" I teased, getting bolder with the Ice Queen. I had figured it out. Why be polite to this woman? She had tricked me into signing a $200 million indenture, after all. "In your dreams." "Give me a hand, I can't reach," she said, glaring at me and shaking the bottle. "Sure." I nodded, walked over, bent down, wrapped my arms around her legs, and lifted her up. "Ah. Leo, what are you doing? Put me down." Serafina's face paled. This bastard dared to touch her legs. "Didn't you say you couldn't reach and needed a hand?" I said, feigning innocence as I set her down. That's right, I did it on purpose. I had just saved the Ice Queen from a major crisis. Didn't I deserve a little interest on my investment? And her legs, damn, they were nice. I asked you to help me put it on the shelf, not to lift me up, she said, her neck flushing red with anger as she handed me the bottle. No man had ever touched her legs before. This bastard was definitely doing it on purpose. I took the bottle and glanced at the label. A Domaine de la Romanée-Conti. The king of red wines. Even a lesser vintage was worth tens of thousands. I glanced at the other bottles in the cabinet, all famous names like Petrus, Margaux, Cheval Blanc. This wine cabinet was worth a small fortune. Honey, I got a promotion and a raise. Can't I have a drink? I asked, holding the bottle, my interest piqued. This is an office. What are you thinking, drinking? And watch how you address me. She said coldly. If we can't drink it, why do you have so much wine? Is it just for show? These were all gifts, she said, walking back to her desk. The leg-lifting incident still had her heart pounding. No wonder you're in the upper class. All the gifts are worth over 10,000. So, what did you want to see me about, Ms. CEO? I put the bottle down and sat down directly across from her. Serafina frowned. This guy was so brazen. No one had ever been so informal in her office. After work, wait for me in the parking garage. We'll be half an hour late. What for? Overtime. I don't want to work overtime, I said, shaking my head. I hated overtime. You don't have a choice. I'm your boss. Now, you can go, she said, completely ignoring my opinion. Damn, she really was the empress. A total dictator. This is for you. I had something to discuss with you anyway, I said, placing the proposal I had just finished on her desk. What's this? She asked, picking it up. It's a security proposal I drew up. It's based on our current hardware, but it adds some network devices and servers, and builds a virtual platform to implement a system backup plan, I explained briefly. Ha! Although Serafina wasn't a tech expert, she understood the gist of my proposal. She supported the idea of a backup plan, but she was surprised by my capabilities. Not to mention the technical content, just the presentation of the proposal was better than most. It was clear that it was well thought out and tailored to Horizon Dynamics' SwiftBird app. You wrote this? Honey, do you doubt me? Shut up. This proposal is going to cost a lot of money, isn't it? She asked, getting to the point. Not that much. Around 5 million. The cost estimate is at the back, I said with a grin. I had, of course, chosen the best hardware. 5 million? That much? She was stunned. Ms. CEO, is 5 million really that much for a big shot like you? I may be the CEO, but I can't just throw money around. You've hit the nail on the head. It's all spelled out in the proposal. This isn't throwing money around. I can approve the budget, but I need to review the proposal first, she said, always professional when it came to work. No problem. By the way, since Peterson is fired, I recommend Mike Johnson for the department manager position, I said proactively. Oh? Leo, I didn't realize you were already building your own faction, she said, her eyes twinkling as if she could see right through me. I don't have such complicated thoughts. Mike is a veteran programmer with excellent skills, and he's a good person. He's a perfect fit for the job, I explained. You programmers are all good people? I don't see it. Aren't you quite the schemer? And shameless, too, she smirked. Honey, that's not fair. If I were a schemer, would I have been tricked into signing that indenture? Let's be clear, I didn't trick you. You were the one who couldn't resist the temptation of $1 million, she said, rolling her eyes. That $1 million wasn't even written into the contract. How do I know you're not just stringing me along? I, Serafina Vance, would stoop to tricking you? That's a laugh, she said, half amused, half exasperated. She was known for her integrity in the business world. All right, Ms. CEO, stop dangling carrots in front of me. Let's deal with the immediate issue. Can we get Mike's manager position sorted out? And since I'm new to my role, I need a capable right-hand man, I said, standing up and sitting on the edge of her desk, in a mock protest. Get off my desk. Serafina, who was a bit of a neat freak, was appalled that I was defiling her workspace with my butt. Honey, give me some face, I said, leaning in with a grin. Fine. It's just a department manager. Let Mike be the acting manager for a month. If he does well, I'll make it permanent, she relented, unable to deal with my shamelessness. And it was normal for an ED to promote their subordinates. Deal. I hopped off her desk. Is there anything else? If not, get out, she said, a little impatiently. I still have something important to ask, I said suddenly, a wide grin on my face. What is it? She asked, looking at me curiously. A smile like that on my face usually meant trouble. This ED position, what's the salary? Is it in the six-figure range? I asked eagerly. You're such a money grubber. Are your eyes made of dollar signs? She said, speechless. Honey, why are you so stingy? Just give me a hint. Do you have anything serious to discuss? If not, get out. She fumed. This guy kept calling her honey. It was too much. Oh, now that you mention it, I do have something important, I said, remembering something. If you have something to say, say it. If you have to fart, fart, she snapped, then immediately regretted it. She never swore. This guy was getting to her. I was speechless. Have you pissed anyone off recently? What do you mean? She asked, her brow furrowed. Based on my investigation today, the virus attack on our app was not a random event, I said seriously. You mean it was an inside job? She asked, her heart skipping a beat. Not exactly. It was a hacker attack, and a targeted one at that. My knowledge of hacking was now profound. What? A hacker attack? She was shocked. Corporate espionage was common, but using hackers to take down a competitor's servers was a low blow. She frowned, thinking. Horizon Dynamics had many competitors. She couldn't pinpoint who would resort to such despicable tactics. I've reinforced our defense system, but I believe the hacker will strike again, I said. I had already analyzed their attack methods. They'll attack again? So our app is still at risk? She asked, worried. Not with me here. They won't succeed. Do you want to catch them? I can set a honeypot, then counterattack and pinpoint their location, I suggested. I was actually excited about the prospect of a hacker showdown. You have a way to catch them? Her eyes lit up with joy. Of course. But what's in it for me? I grinned. Hayes, you're an employee of Horizon Dynamics. I am the CEO. I am ordering you to catch those hackers, she said sternly. Oh, Miss CEO, without any benefits, it's hard for me to get motivated, I said with a shrug. What benefits do you want? She was at a loss with this shameless man. I looked her up and down. A kiss. What? Her face instantly turned beet red, not from shyness, but from pure rage. Hayes, get out of my office. She slammed her hand on the desk. Outside, Mandy jumped at the sound. What's going on? She thought. Who is this Leo Hayes, to make the CEO so angry? He's dead. Ahem, Ice Queen, why are you so angry? I said shamelessly. You've got a lot of nerve, Leo. You're making a move on me? You're bold, she said, her voice like ice. A move? We're legally married. Can't I even get a kiss? I snorted. Legally? You bastard, let's be clear, this is a sham marriage, she said, exasperated. She had chosen me because she thought I would be easy to control. She never expected me to be such a rogue. You know it's a sham marriage? You tricked me into signing that indenture, and now I'm getting nothing out of it, I retorted. Less nonsense. What benefits do you want? She gave in, not wanting to argue anymore. My salary. Give me another $20,000 a month, I said calmly. You really are a money grubber, she said through gritted teeth. You're a big-shot CEO. Can't you be a little more generous? I grumbled. This woman was so tight-fisted. Every employee's salary is set by company policy. If I give you a raise, what happens when everyone else comes asking for one? She argued. I thought about it. She had a point. How about this? If I help you catch the hackers, you lend me a car. I'm an ED now, I can't be taking the subway to work every day. It's embarrassing, I said, thinking of her Lamborghini. What man didn't love sports cars? A car? You don't even have a driver's license. She scoffed. Don't look down on me. Just because I don't have a car doesn't mean I don't have a license. I'm an old pro, I boasted. Fine. I can agree to that, she nodded. She had several cars and couldn't drive them all anyway. It's a deal. Well, honey, I'll be going now, I said with a wave, turning to leave. But I stopped at the wine cabinet. Click. Serafina heard the sound of the cabinet door opening and closing. Leo, what are you doing? Hee, honey, just grabbing a couple of bottles. What? She rushed over, but I was already out the door. She looked at the cabinet. 2 bottles of red wine were missing. This rogue. He had just helped himself to 2 of her bottles. Serafina felt a headache coming on. She didn't know if marrying this guy was a blessing or a curse. Outside, Mandy saw me walking out with 2 bottles of red wine and was confused. I had just made the CEO slam her desk in anger, and now she was giving me wine? In the office, Serafina shook her head helplessly and dialed a number on her phone. Hello, Auntie. I'm coming home for dinner tonight. When I got back to my office, it was already closing time. But Chloe was still at her desk. Chloe, still here? Oh, Director, you're back. I was afraid you might have something else for me to do. And company policy says that an executive's assistant can't leave before their boss does, she said, standing up. What kind of stupid rule is that? From now on, you can leave on time. If I need you to stay late, I'll let you know in advance, I said with a smile. Oh, you're the best, Director. Can I add you on WeChat? It'll be easier for you to contact me, she asked. Of course. We added each other on WeChat, and then Chloe left for the day. Back in my office, I remembered that I had received the $30,000 from the Dragon's Lair. I finally had money to pay my rent. I found Mrs. Peterson's contact and transferred the money. She accepted it almost instantly. Mrs. Peterson, Leo, you got the money so quickly. Did you get your salary? Leo, no, just earned a little on the side. Mrs. Peterson, what did you do to earn money so fast? Tell me, I'm interested. Leo, Mrs. Peterson, it's something only a man can do. You probably can't do it. Mrs. Peterson, young man, you need to take care of yourself. Your health is the most important thing. Don't do those foolish things anymore. I stared at her message, completely baffled. What the hell? Did my landlady misunderstand something? Serafina had told me to meet her in the parking garage at 6. I had no idea what kind of overtime she had in mind. I still had 20 minutes, so I opened the Dragon's Lair on my computer. I had a ton of notifications. My job submission had blown up, and I had become a hot topic. The job I had completed in 2 hours had been reported for cheating, but the Dragon's Lair had officially verified it as legitimate, which had stunned the IT community. I smiled. My user level was now LV2. I ignored the comments and went back to studying advanced hacking techniques. I realized that my advanced intellect not only gave me a powerful learning ability but also an incredible intuitive thinking process. For example, when I watched a case study of a hacker attack, my brain could extrapolate tens of thousands of different attack and defense scenarios. This intuitive thinking was my real strength. It was like gaining tens of thousands of times the practical experience. Oh? A friend request? I saw a friend request on the Dragon's Lair. It was from my client from last night, Jade Goddess. Did she have a problem with the app? I accepted, and a message immediately came through. Jade Goddess, hello, Golden God. The program you delivered was perfect. I have a friend who also wants a mini app, but hers is for a restaurant, which is more complex than my shopping app. Would you be able to take it on? Golden Oldie LV2, no problem, but the price will be higher. Jade Goddess, of course. My friend's budget is 80K. I'll have her post the job request for you to look at. If it's okay, you can accept it. Golden Oldie LV2, sure. Jade Goddess sent me a link to the job post. Her friend's username was Blueheart, and the job was for a restaurant mini app. It included both in-house ordering and food delivery, so it was quite complex. I knew that a custom-developed app like this would cost at least 6 figures from a professional company. 80K was a pretty good price, and for me, it was a piece of cake. This was a fast way to make money. I accepted the job and added Blueheart as a friend to discuss the requirements. Blueheart, Golden God, Jade told me you're amazing at building mini apps, so I'm counting on you. Golden Oldie LV2, how many days do you need it in? Blueheart, I'm not in a hurry. Is 2 months okay? Golden Oldie LV2, are you underestimating me? I'll have it for you in 2 days. Blueheart, oh? Okay, then can I have your WeChat? It'll be easier to communicate. I sent her my WeChat ID, and a moment later, I got a friend request. After I accepted, Blueheart created a group chat and added Jade Goddess. Jade Goddess, Golden God, you can finish a restaurant app in 2 days? You must have a whole team, right? Golden Oldie, nope, just me. Blueheart, Golden God, you're kidding us. Golden Oldie, Doge_meme, Jade Goddess, Golden God, how old are you? Golden Oldie, why? Looking for a date? Blueheart, our Jade Goddess is single, you know. Jade Goddess, Blue, stop it. Golden God, I was just asking. Never mind. Ring. Ring. Just as I was enjoying chatting with my new online friends, Serafina started a video call. I glanced at my watch. It was 6:10. I had lost track of time. I quickly answered. Hayes, do you have any sense of time? Ahem, I'm on my way down. I hung up, grabbed my things, and rushed downstairs. When I got to the parking garage, I saw that her parking spot was empty. Had she left without me? Beep. Beep. A horn honked from another part of the garage. I walked over and saw a jade green Bentley Mulsanne. The window rolled down, revealing Serafina's beautiful face. What took you so long? Get in. She glared at me. Wow, how many cars do you have? Now it's a Bentley, I said, speechless. I really didn't understand the world of the super rich. Wait, why is she in the passenger seat? I wondered. Is she letting me drive? Honey, why are you in the passenger seat? Didn't you say you have a license? You drive, she said, not even bothering to correct my use of honey. She had probably realized that getting angry at me was just a waste of energy. All right. I was a little excited. A Bentley. It was my first time driving such a nice car. I got in and buckled up. Honey, where are we going? What kind of overtime is this? I'm taking you to meet my parents, she replied. Oh? Meet your parents? I was surprised, then I started to laugh. I finally understood. So you faked a marriage to trick your family. Are they forcing you to go on blind dates? Serafina was speechless. Was this guy an idiot? Go on a blind date? That was a joke. Don't give me that look. I know with your qualifications, you don't need to go on blind dates. But to trick your parents, you didn't have to actually get married. You could have just faked a certificate, I teased. First, we're going to the mall to buy you some clothes. You need to change out of that, she said, ignoring my comment and sizing me up. I was wearing a plaid shirt, jeans, and a backpack, the quintessential programmer look. What's wrong with my clothes? It's pure cotton, I said nonchalantly. Less nonsense. The Grandview Mall, she said coldly. Fine by me, I said, starting the car. But as I was about to turn at the light, The windshield wipers suddenly came on. Do you even know how to drive? Serafina's eyes widened, and she tightened her seatbelt. Look how scared you are. I'm just not used to luxury cars, I boasted. Really? Then you don't need to be drawing S-curves on the pavement, she retorted. I am, just getting a feel for it, I said, my face turning red. It had been a while since I'd driven. But I was a quick learner, and soon I was handling the car with ease. Due to traffic, it took us half an hour to get to the Grandview Mall. It was a famous high-end shopping center, full of luxury brand stores. Honey, before we go in, I have a question. Are you paying for the clothes? I asked shamelessly. I had some money now, but probably not enough to even buy a shopping bag here. Don't worry, I'm paying, she said, giving me a look. This guy was surprisingly sharp when it came to money. We went straight to the third floor, which was all men's clothing and shoes. Even though I was dressed casually, the security guards and staff were all very polite. There was none of the snobbery you read about in novels. We went into an Armani store. Good evening, sir, madam. Welcome to Armani, a salesperson greeted us. Please pick out a suitable casual suit for him, Serafina said, letting the salesperson choose. The salesperson quickly picked out a gray-blue suit. I went into the fitting room and glanced at the price tag. Over $30,000. Damn, that was expensive. But it was incredibly comfortable. I changed and came out. Ha! Serafina was a little surprised. In the suit, I looked like a completely different person, more handsome, more stylish. For a moment, she wondered if this was the same shameless guy from before. Ma'am, your husband is very handsome, the salesperson said with a genuine smile. Serafina's face flushed slightly. Okay, we'll take this one. And a pair of shoes. After picking out a pair of leather shoes at Armani, Serafina paid, and we left. I mentally calculated the total. It was close to $100,000. The Ice Queen was really willing to spend. Honey, you're so good to me. After we meet your parents, you're not going to ask for the clothes back, are you? I asked. Do you think I'm like you? She said, shaking her head. Is that so? Well, honey, there's a Prada store over there. Should we go take a look? I suggested, my eyes lighting up. What for? She asked warily. Don't worry, I'm just looking, I said seriously. She nodded, probably thinking I was just curious since I'd never been to a luxury mall before. Welcome. The Prada salesperson greeted us. I walked around, then pointed to a set of casual underwear priced at $3,000. Miss, I'll take this set in a size 180. Please wrap it up. Ha! This time, it was Serafina who was stunned. Yes, sir. The salesperson said happily, quickly wrapping it up. Honey, time to pay, I said, winking at Serafina with a grin. She gritted her teeth. This bastard was taking advantage of her. But she was too proud to make a scene, so she took out her card. My wife is the best. She's never stingy with me, I said to the salesperson with a laugh. Serafina could only smile through her pain. After we left the store, she huffed, You've got some nerve. Didn't you say you were just looking? Well, that underwear set was just too nice. I couldn't resist, I said shamelessly. Seeing her angry actually made me feel a little smug. A man's words are all lies. Did she really believe I was just going to look? Look how happy you are. It's just a few clothes, she said, annoyed, but then thought to herself, well, at least he'll have some new underwear. That's right, just a few clothes. Oh, honey, there's a Gucci store up ahead. How about we get me a belt? I pushed my luck. How about I buy you a few more pairs of underwear? She said, her eyes narrowing as she stared at me. Really? Honey. My eyes lit up. If you say one more word, I'm taking all these clothes back. She threatened. Seeing her icy expression and clutching the tens of thousands of dollars worth of new clothes in my arms, I decided not to push my luck any further. When we got back to the car, she said, get in and change. Okay. No peeking, I warned. She almost choked. Who do you think you are? After I changed, she got in the car. I sent you a location on WeChat. That's where we're going, she said. I looked at my phone and my mouth twitched. It was in the suburbs. It would take at least an hour to drive there, and it was rush hour. No wonder she wanted me to drive. This woman was cunning. But I didn't mind the long drive. It was my first time driving a luxury car, after all. And every time we were stuck in traffic, I would honk the horn, not to rush the car in front, but to draw attention. The Bentley was a real head-turner, and with a beautiful woman in the passenger seat, I was getting a lot of envious looks. Once we were out of the city, I was able to speed up. By the way, when we get to the house, you can't call me Ms. Vance, she instructed. What should I call you? You're usually so eager to call me something else, aren't you? She pouted. Honey? She hummed in agreement. She didn't like it, but she had to put on a show for her family. And you have to act like we're in love. Don't let my father and my aunt see that we're faking it. In love? I have no problem with that, but do you even know what being in love is? I teased. What is being in love? Isn't it just talking sweetly and being affectionate? I was speechless. Why aren't you saying anything? She asked. You've never been in a relationship, but you must have seen romance movies, right? Or maybe, porn? Never. Then what do you usually watch after work? Books on business management, finance, or related news. I finally understood. No wonder she was a CEO. The scariest thing in the world is when someone more talented than you is also working harder than you. By the way, can I ask you a gossip question? I said boldly. What is it? The rumors outside say you're a lesbian. Boring. She completely ignored me and closed her eyes, leaning back in her seat. I chuckled awkwardly and focused on driving. We finally arrived at 8 p.m. I got out of the car and realized we were at a nursing home, a very high-end one. My father's health isn't good, so he stays here, she explained, leading me inside. Ahem. I coughed loudly. What's wrong? She frowned. Do we look like a loving, newly married couple right now? I reminded her. Then what should I do? She asked, clueless about relationships. Never mind, I'll teach you. Take my arm, I said, pulling her hand and placing it on my arm. She resisted at first, but then she seemed to remember that this was what couples do. But she only placed her wrist on my arm, keeping her distance. Ah, my silly wife. Can you get a little closer? You're standing so far away, it looks like you're escorting a prisoner, I laughed. I don't need you to teach me. She gritted her teeth and wrapped her whole arm around mine. That's right, just like that, I nodded, secretly pleased. Being this close to the Ice Queen, I could smell her faint, pleasant scent. A moment later, she led me to a villa at the far end of the property. Auntie, I'm home. She called out as we entered. Her aunt, Susan, was watching TV in the living room. Serafina, you're back. Oh, who is this? Susan stood up, surprised to see a strange man with her. Auntie, this is Leo Hayes, my boyfriend, Serafina said, pulling me forward. Boyfriend? Susan was clearly flustered. Hello, Aunt Susan. I'm Leo, I said politely. Serafina had briefed me on the way. Her father, Harrison Vance, stayed here due to his poor health, and her divorced aunt, Susan, took care of him. Oh, what a handsome young man. Please, have a seat. Serafina, why didn't you tell me you were bringing a guest? I would have had the maid prepare something, Susan said, inviting me to sit. Auntie, he's not a guest. We're married, Serafina said, sitting down on the sofa. Married? A big thing like that, you can't be joking. Susan was terrified. Auntie, Leo works at my company. We've been secretly dating for a long time. This wasn't a rash decision, Serafina explained. Well. Susan didn't know what to say. Auntie, where's my father? How's his health been? Serafina asked. He's in his study upstairs. He's been doing well, reading every day. I'll go see him, she said, heading upstairs. I took a moment to look around the villa. It was decorated in a luxurious, modern style. This didn't look like a nursing home, it was a private estate. With Serafina upstairs, Susan started her interrogation. A barrage of questions came my way. Where was my family from? How big was our house? What was my zodiac sign? Just as I was starting to get a headache, Serafina came downstairs, helping her father, Harrison Vance. He was wearing reading glasses and had a kind expression. Even though he was being supported, I could still feel a powerful aura from the old man. "Hello, Mr. Vance," I said, quickly standing up. "Sit down," Harrison said, walking over to the sofa and gesturing for me to do the same. I sat, my heart pounding despite knowing this was all a charade. "So, kid, how much is my daughter paying you to pretend to be her boyfriend?" Harrison asked suddenly, his sharp eyes fixed on me. My eye twitched. How could this old man be so perceptive? He knew I was a fake just by looking at me? "Dad, don't be ridiculous. I told you, Leo and I have been dating in secret," Serafina said, sitting beside her father and quickly trying to explain. "Really? I don't believe it. Leo, why don't you tell me if I'm right?" Harrison asked with a sly smile. "Sir, it's all my fault," I said suddenly. Serafina's brow furrowed. Was he about to blow our cover? I was a low-level employee at the company, so I was a little insecure. I didn't want to make our relationship public. "I should have let her tell you sooner," I explained. "That's right, Dad. And you've always wanted me to get married, right?" "Well, Leo and I already have our marriage license," Serafina added quickly. "You're married?" Harrison was stunned. "I knew you'd be skeptical." "Look," she said, pulling the marriage certificate from her purse and handing it to him. "What?" Harrison took the certificate and opened it. Susan leaned in to look. "It's a real marriage license. It even has the embossed seal," she said. "Dad, Aunt Susan, would I lie to you about something like this?" Serafina said seriously.